Well, good afternoon, those of you who are joining me live. This is Grant Herbert, and I'm just about to get started. If you are live with me, say hi in the comments. I've got a little bit of a technical challenge going on right now. We're going to work through it. I've also just had surgery a couple of weeks ago, so I'm going to make this as short as, shorter than I normally would, because I can't stand for very long. But anyway, that's enough complaining about what's going on. I just like to be real and transparent. So if you've been following me along in our live streams, we have been looking at these 9 crucial shifts that every leader in professional services needs to make so that they can have more income, more influence, and make a bigger impact in their career. So if this is the first time you're joining me, as I said, my name's Grant Herbert, and I have been working in law firms and other professional services firms around the world for the last 15 years. And the same challenges are happening everywhere, not just in particular countries. And for me, these 9 shifts were what I've put together over, many of those years, looking at the challenges. And as I always tell people, today's leaders, by the way, that's you, need to be taught to lead in today's world. So these are pertinent and relevant for right now, but they might change as the world changes. There's far too much leadership development still out there that's available that is outdated and suits a different time and a different environment. All right, so we've already been through the identity shift. We now have stepped into the intelligence shift, and this is about going from that singular intelligence, your cognitive intelligence, to emotional intelligence. And last time we were together, we looked at the self-awareness quadrant of emotional intelligence, and we looked at personal power. So if you haven't seen those, you can find them here if you're looking at that in the company page on LinkedIn. You can find them there. If not, you can go. I've got them all in a private portal where you can go in there and get some free resources and you can communicate with me, etc. Anyway, enough of that. So really, who am I? I'm an ordinary guy. I got an outstanding wife. I've got 5 amazing kids. One of them's just out in the family room now. I'm doing this from home. Just cooked him lunch because he's going off to work shortly. And I just want to be real and I'm just like everybody else. I put my pants on one leg at a time, most days, just like you. So even though I'm a subject matter expert in what I do, and you've come here to get that from me, I'm a work in progress in its implementation, just like everybody else. So we're working in that arena of personal leadership, which is about leading yourself well. And for me, this was a major problem in my career, both my military and my corporate career, and even going into, the first few years of my own practice. All right, so let's jump in and share the screen there. And we're going to talk about behavioral self-control. So behavioral self-control is a competency of self-management. So for those who've been following along, emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of your emotions in the moment, but then to use that information to manage the response to it, the behavior. So we're not managing the emotion. It's a natural process. We navigate the emotion, but we want to manage the behavior. All right, so let's keep going. So here's what I know. You can manage thoughts and impulsive feelings to navigate those distressing emotions in a more healthy way. I don't know about you, but, I had certain days, where certain people, certain situations, I felt like doing what this guy's doing, yelling down the phone at clients or at, people in my team, whatever it was. Because I had the inability to manage what I made the emotion mean and the thought processes that were going on. So therefore my behavior went to the unresourceful. And I know that happens for you as well, because none of us are perfect. And here's why. So the first reason, if I can get this to actually click for me here, let's see if I can get it to work. See, it's testing me. There's things that push our buttons, right? And they can be people or situations. There's certain things that, because they're linked to an emotional memory that's highly charged, because they're linked to those 3 universal fears, whatever it is, that when that's pushed, you react instead of responding in a healthy way. That creates these impulsive reactions. So the emotion happens, and then you make it mean something. The thoughts come in, the dialogue that's unhealthy comes in, and then you actually react in a certain way. And what we end up doing when we do this is we abdicate control. We abdicate control to the other person or to the situation, whatever it is. We become this, mad person that is straight out of character, totally out of character, and feeling helpless. And the problem with this is conflicts escalate. Now, we've talked about, in identity, we talk about conflicts with ourselves, but I'm talking about conflicts with other people here. It's gone from an initial situation to 6 shooters at 20 paces. But here's the thing. I came here to give you some good news today, not just the bad news. I want you to understand why these things happen, but I want to show you a different way of doing things. So when you learn to have behavioral self-control, you have what I love to call unflappability. I reckon it's the most awesome word in the English language, unflappable. Now, it's never going to be perfect, right? We've talked about that before. But it means when you're unflappable, and you can Google it, it's a lovely word. It means that things happen, but they don't get you. They don't take you over. They don't get your goat, whatever phrases you want to use. And then you come back with measured responses to what goes on. So we always want to respond rather than react. I know people say, don't overreact. Well, I believe reaction is only for emergency situations, right? We always want to respond, navigating the emotion and responding out of logic. And we take back and maintain control. It's like at home. Some of you want to have the remote control. I don't know. Give me a wave if you're one of those people. But what I'm talking about here is your remote control. So you now decide which buttons push you and what your behavior then does. And you can then stay calm under pressure. Can you imagine being an air traffic controller? Right? They've got stuff going on everywhere, but they remain so calm. I had someone explain once, what an air traffic controller does, or what he did as an air traffic controller. He said, well, really, it's pretty simple. There's maps and there's dots all over the screen. And if 2 dots join, everybody dies, right? And that's obviously, he was being flippant there. But you and I may not work in an air traffic control situation, but we can, like they do, stay calm under pressure. And when you stay calm under pressure, you actually get to make different decisions, because your brain, and this is why I love the neuroscience behind this, your brain is in the right mode to be able to logically, through the prefrontal cortex, make different decisions, and ones that are going to be good for you, good for others, and good for the greater good. And that comes by developing this competency called behavioral self-control. So what is it? Well, it's keeping disruptive emotions in check. So it's not about eliminating disruptive emotions, right? They still happen. It's part of your natural makeup. As I explained in the last couple of times we were together, an emotion is something that physiologically you sense in your body. You then make it mean something. And the thought process and the dialogue goes on internally, and then you decide how you feel. So in all that, sometimes that can be disruptive, and it leads to that behavior. So behavioral self-control is about being able to still go through that and navigate that, but come out with healthy behavior. All right, so what I want to do is give you something to take away from here today, something that you can use, All right, obviously, and if you've got I didn't say at the start, if you've got your workbook there, you can take notes. If you didn't, you can watch this again. The workbook is in the first comment, or wherever you're looking at this, you can grab the workbook. But I want to give you a process, and I love the word process because a process is logical. It has steps to follow. And that is in itself going to help you to regulate your behavior, because a process lights up the neural pathways in the logical parts of your brain. So let's have a look at it. And you can take it away and you can practice it over a period of time. So let's have a look. It's a 5-step process, and the first part of that process is to name the emotion. We've talked about this. So it's about being able to recognize, what is that emotion? What is it that I'm experiencing right now? So in the moment, being able to recognize. And to do that, as we've already talked about, we need to be attuned to what's going on physiologically in our body. We need to be aware in the moment what's going on. All right, so that's the first part. The second part of the process then is to do an audit of your thoughts. All right, so sorry, let me go back, and I press buttons everywhere. The first thing, as I said, name the emotion. So we want to ask ourselves what questions. What questions rather than why, because what questions is a logical question, whereas why, as you can tell by the change in my voice, that evokes other emotions. So what is the emotion I'm experiencing right now? That's step one. Step two then is to do an audit of your thoughts and to ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? And the reason you want to do that is you can then challenge any unhealthy thinking. You can then challenge any thinking that's coming from an unhealthy internal dialogue, where you can object, Your Honour, facts not in evidence, and you can take control of it. So as an example of that, someone says something, you feel a certain way, you make that mean something about you, but it may not be their intention at all. So the internal dialogue is, this person, doesn't respect me, whatever it is. So hang on a minute. No, I don't know that. That's not true. Of course they respect me, or whatever it is. All right, another example I love to use, having, teenage kids over the years is they drop their towel anywhere, right? So if you make that mean that, they don't care about me, they don't respect me, they don't respect the home, whatever it is, then that's going to then give you a different behavior. But then you do the audit of the thoughts and go, hang on a minute, no, they're just teenagers, right? They just drop stuff on the floor. It's not about me at all. So audit your thoughts. The next one is to decide the outcome. I gave it to you before, right? If you were really quick, you would have seen it. So decide the outcome. So now that you're in that state of you've captured what's going on emotionally, you've got hold of those unhealthy thoughts, and then your brain is in the right position to ask yourself the question, what do I want to happen here? So what is the outcome that you actually want from that scenario, that experience that you're going through? And you're able to do that because, as I said, you've got yourself in a good emotional state. Then step 4 is to control the sabotage. You and I do stuff all the time to sabotage the results and stop us from getting the outcome. And it's all linked to that identity work that we've been talking about, and it's something that you'll continue to work on all your life. But controlling the sabotage is simply asking yourself the question, what could I do or say right now that would stop me from getting that outcome? Or you could flip it the other way and go, what could I do or say right now that will help me take a step towards that outcome? So it's once again a what question. And then number 5 is to choose the strategy. So what I mean by that is that different emotions, as we've already spoken about before, need different strategies. Not only that, your strategy, and indeed the way you experience certain emotions, or what you even label as certain emotions, could be totally different to me. And I debunked that myth for you weeks ago, that everybody experiences emotions the same way, and there's 6 emotions that are imprinted in our brain. All that stuff has been debunked. That's what they used to know with neuroscience, but now we know that it's a experience that is different for every individual. So what you need is to be able to develop strategies, which I can help you to do, to be able to then go, okay, this is what I'm experiencing, so this is where I want to go. And what that strategy does, instead of you making the normal move that you make that takes it to unhealthy behavior and you end up in checkmate, it takes it to a different direction and you end up with a more favorable result. So what we're able to do as we're doing this, it's just like a great chess player. They're not just looking at the move they're making right now. They're thinking about 3 or 4 moves ahead, right? Chess is not something I'm really great at, and I'm totally okay with that. But you see these masters where they know where they're going to go. If that happens, this happens. And that's what a strategy is. All right, so 5-step process that you need to go through. And as I said, the first thing we're going to do is name the emotion. So what's the emotion I'm going through? Audit your thoughts. What am I thinking right now? So you can challenge it. Then decide the outcome. Where do I want to end up? What do I want the outcome to be? Control the sabotage. What could I do or say right now that could stop me from getting there? And then choose the strategy. What am I going to do so that I actually move towards where I want to go and get a positive response from this situation? You see, as I said weeks ago, there's no such thing as a positive or negative emotion. They're all there for a reason. They're all positive. It's the behavior that can be positive or negative. All right, so if you've got the workbook, I've got something that you can take away with you and you can do. So here's the thing. In every one of these competencies we talk about, you need to understand, well, where am I now with that? What's my current reality? So I've given you an opportunity now to do some work on that. And I'm very quickly going to show you if I'm running this with a team or an individual who I'm coaching, we go through it in a lot more depth, but I'm really starting to get a bit of pain now. So I need to sit down very shortly. So let me just quickly take it through for you because it's all there and it's all explained. I'm happy for you to have this. This is my gift to you for your personal use only. If you could just respect that. It's not for you to go and do with other people, but go through this exercise and have a look at it and be able to identify what's actually going on for you. So when things happen, what's the trigger? What do you feel in your body? What's your self-talk? What's your normal reaction? And how do you feel after you react that way? What's the damage that's done? And then looking at a new strategy. What could be a different response? And how will I feel when I choose that one? So there's a workbook, as I said, for you to do all that, a worksheet there. It's in the workbook. You can go through that. And it's just getting a level of awareness around your current reality. So what do you do normally when these situations happen? What are the things that push your buttons? Let's work out what they are. Let's look at a pattern of what you do normally and where that takes you. And then go through and work out different strategies that are going to take you to a much more favorable result for you, for the others, and for the greater good. All right, well, that's it for our live this week. I'm happy to take questions. If you're interested in going to the private portal where there's all these videos, if you've missed them, somewhere up in, I think it's a pinned post, or if you can't find it, just ask me. And you can go in there. It's a community. You can ask me questions. You can, it's just something I started just recently to help people. And if you're beyond that stage and you actually want some help around this stuff, if you're like I got to the point of, and when I'm sick and tired of sabotaging everything through my poor emotional reactions, then get in touch and we'll see if we're a good fit, and I'll find a way to be able to help you with that. All right, so we're back together in another couple of weeks. Hopefully, I'll be feeling a lot better, a lot less pain, and we're going to be jumping into another competency of self-management. All right, I will see you all then.